I will call the town council plenary meeting of February 20th, 2025 to order. Will you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Barry. Here. Jetta. Here. Barry. Present. Annette. Here. Bob.
Here. Next up, we have citizen input. Do we have any citizens wishing to make a statement? Hearing none, I'll be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda to improve the minutes of the January 16, 2025 town council meeting, minutes of the February 3 town council executive session, minutes of the February 6 town council executive session, claims totaling $1,603,836.76, and the disposition of warrants and checks and outstanding checks.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry.
Aye.
Jetta.
Aye.
Barry. Aye. Annette. Aye. Bob.
Aye. Next up, under announcement, we are accepting applications for the Historic Preservation Commission. Two of our members were here tonight. I believe we have 2 open positions for that. So if we could have residents that are interested in joining that task force of doing that to apply, and we can get that board fully staffed.
I believe it's one,
Yeah,
one,
just
is one position.
Just one?
There's
Yeah.
one at this point.
Yes,
Bob, if I may,
Sure.
it is kind of getting critical. I wonder if we could also include it in the newsletter. We had a situation the other evening, 3 members were there. Had one stayed home, we were done. So it is getting critical. I hate to jeopardize the success that we've got going, the momentum we have going.
Well, we do have one
With
application
some
right now, so we
We
can't,
have an application.
we do have an application right now that I don't know. We can
Do
put-
I have one?
No,
here?
we do have an application that's been turned in,
Yes.
so
Well,
I don't know if we can.
we do, but I just want to hammer it a little
Sure.
bit harder in the newsletter, whatever we can. Okay?
we
Thank
could,
you.
Thank you.
we could put the appointment on the March meeting and close applications a week prior to that for you guys and forward them all to you for review. As if that sounds,
If there's any way that we could move that a little bit faster, that would be helpful too.
well, the March meeting's March 20th, so I'll get that a week prior to that and it'll be on the March 20th agenda, if that's what you guys are wishing. Okay.
Okay, next up, we have reports. We'll start with Ward 2, Councilwoman Tin.
On Park Street, I'd like to thank our first responders for there was an incident with a pedestrian and vehicle, and you responded amazingly. And I want to thank you for your excellent work and calling in UCAM and you take care of things so amazing. We really appreciate your hard work and your great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up, Ward 3, Councilwoman Ogrzewicz.
I'd like to tip my hat and say thank you as well to our Public Works Director, Dr. Borshak, and our Police Department for their efforts when we had that power outage at the end of the month of January. We were without power. They came out, worked late, and made sure that all the generators were hooked up and made sure the police did extra patrols through the neighborhoods where they didn't have lights, and it was just reassuring that we have the best people working in our town. So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Next up, Ward 4, Councilwoman Tanis.
Last week, I attended the AIM legislative dinner down in Indianapolis, and I spent the day at the State House talking about the changes that are being made by our new governor, Governor Braun. at the dinner, he gave a very good speech talking about, trying to lower property taxes and what his rationale was behind it. And I sat with representatives Slaker, Senator Jernal and Senator Niemeyer talking about what they foresee for Northwest Indiana. One thing I do want to call your attention to is Senate Bill 103, which is eliminating the emissions testing from Northwest Indiana from Lincoln Porter County, which has been hanging around for too long. And they're trying to eliminate that. That is moving right through to the House right now. So that's something that we can look forward to because it's very costly for people to go out and have their emissions testing. And sometimes you just can't do it because you just don't have the money to do it. And it's very, emotionally, it just takes you away because you can't get you can't get your license plates until you have those things. So those are a couple of things to watch for. And again, there's a lot going on with the budget. You hear lots of things that are going on, but the State House is very busy these days with all that is going on. That is really important. Also at that dinner that we were entertained by an author named Peter Katsuyama. And I've heard him several times before, but he talks about pride in cities and how important it is. Every example that he had was from somewhere in Indiana. One of the things that he really focused in on was repurposing buildings, which I think, we're looking at the Union Church here. It worked right in. He was so informational about how we take pride in our cities and towns because residents know it, our business people know it, and especially visitors come in and notice the difference in it. But he's an excellent speaker. And again, he works on public art and again about repurposing buildings. So it was a great day and lots of information was taking place in Indianapolis. So keep your eye on what's going on. A lot of changes are being made. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Ward 5, Councilwoman Ludwig.
I did bring this up at the safety meeting, the other day, and I as well wanted to bring it up to the town council. A family had brought it up to me to thank our fire department and, police department for looking out for their family member. She did pass away at the age of 101. And she was just tickled pink when they would show up. They did show up for her 100th birthday. Fire department came and police department. But the family was just awed by it. They just said great things about you. And as well as the safety meeting, I did want to bring it up to the town meeting because they did, again, state, please let them know. We really appreciate it. Not only they risk their lives out there in the safety of the Dyer residents, they still go out there and just make sure that the elders are taken care of, as well as garages and the wellness checks and so forth. So it is seen, it is appreciative from the family members. And that's all I have. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next up, Clerk Treasurer.
Yes, I have some donations if you could accept them too. One is for the Dyer welcome bags for a business for $100. And police department for $100 to be donated at chief's discretion. And for the fire department, $6,100 for chief's discretion. For different, and also we had some that was left over from January, which came out to $4,900 for the employee appreciation luncheon. So if we can accept those into the, I appreciate it.
I'll make the motion to approve the donations.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Hi.
Jenna,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Annette,
Hi.
Bob.
Aye. Next up, Town Manager.
Everything I have is in the jam-packed packet today.
Thank you. Next up, Town Attorney.
Same for me.
We'll move to our department heads. We'll start with Public Works.
The installation of the ADA compliant concrete work from Main Street to US 30 and the Rockwell subdivision, that's still actually I should say it's been scheduled, but it'll begin once the weather permits. So we're looking at hopefully early April and then have that all completed by May. We're finalizing our list of sidewalk replacements and other pavement markings throughout the town that are outside the ADA stuff. And we should have that ready shortly so we can start working spring. The decorative streetlight poles that are going to be installed near Pleasant Hills Park, those are still on time, so those are expected to arrive in April as well. And those will be installed. We're also getting ready for spring cleanup. It's just right around the corner, so that's going to be in April. We'll have a schedule for our chipping and leaf packing schedule for the entire year. We'll also we're getting prices for our street sweeping that we usually do that one-time street sweeping for the entire town. And we'll get that priced out and get that done in April as well. That's pretty much all we're doing right now at this moment. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Parks.
Quick rundown on the projects. Sandy Ridge Park Improvement, at the February meeting, the park board approved a request to reduce the retainage held by Dyer Construction. There was approximately $30,000 that we were still retaining. The only item left is to ensure that the seed is germinating in the spring. So they reduced that to approximately $5,000. The Hearthstone pickleball courts, this is the same as the previous months. We're just waiting for the temperature to warm up. We need an ambient temperature of 52 degrees or greater to pour the sport court surfacing. And then Everly pickleball courts, they're getting ready to get moving on this project. I met with Brian Lang, who passed some information over to Public Works. They're doing some locates for the catch basins and storm sewer that's going to go over at Everly Park, so they should get moving next month on that. And then Heritage Estates was the first advertisement was put out actually today, and we should be ready to open to open bids on March 10th. And this is the same thing with Cottonwood Park. These two projects are being bid together. In the study session, there was extensive presentation by Robinson Engineering about the infrastructure project. So I don't really want to touch too much on that, but we met with them last week, and it seems like we're going to be meeting here again next week to continue proceeding with that. And then Central Park, we had disc golf. The park board approved a design proposal for $9,431 for a nine hole course. That will be at the far south end near the berms. And then for activities, winter programming, we're in full swing here. We just had our daddy daughter dance, which was on February 7th and February 8th. The 7th was at the Township Center and the 8th was at St. Maria Goretti. And we had 353 participants across both nights, which it was increased participation compared to last year by about 75 people, which is good.
I was one of them. It was a good event.
Thank you. I'm glad you had fun. More importantly, I'm glad your daughter had fun. In our upcoming events, we have our Royal Princess Ball, which is for girls ages 3 to 9. That's on March 16th at the Plum Creek Center from 1:30 to 2:45. Volunteer committees, Dyer and Bloom, they met on February 4th, talking about various projects. We talked about proper procedure for projects to make sure we get them before the correct board. And so this really stemmed from the hang up on the grant issue. So make sure we're going to the proper board so we can get funding in a more streamlined manner. We're planning a park cleanup day on April 26th. This is going to be a collaboration between the Parks Department and Dyer and Bloom. Residents will be able to help us clean up. We're planning to clean up 4 parks. It'd be Pheasant Hills Park, Northgate Park, Everly Park, and Hearthstone Park. Their committee's also exploring additional funding. Nanette Wargo's applied for a Master Gardeners grant. They're intending to spruce up the Plum Creek Center. And additionally, Mary Tim is also applying for a thriving grant to assist with the spring cleanup at the EMS building. So for Summerfest, myself, the town manager and assistant town manager, we met with the president of the Summerfest committee on February 13th. It was a very productive meeting. We moved a lot of things forward. There's actually a ordinance here in your packet today for your approval regarding the new vendor fees. And then we're eager to get rolling with that event and get everything locked up. So we have a good event for the residents, and that's all I have.
Thank you.
For the cleanup day, where do they usually meet, or do they have to contact you?
So if there is gonna be something in the newsletter going out in March, yeah, they're gonna either email parks at townofdyer.com or call the Parks Department at 219-865-2505. And then we will get a list of participants and kind of, if they have a preferred park they like to go to, that's great, but what we kind of want to avoid, I don't want 13 people who want to help clean up Pheasant Hills, and then I have one person at Northgate. So we kind of want to make sure we spread them out evenly, but we're gonna do it the best we can to get them to their preferred location.
Yeah, I did get some.
Justin, do we have a copy of the other grant, or I know one, I have one from.
The Master Gardeners?
Yeah, I have that one, and I know you do. What about the other grant you mentioned?
So I don't think she's written it yet, the
Oh,
EMS
okay,
one.
I can do- Okay, because Justin needs a copy and so do I. Thank you. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Next up, Director of Operations.
We had 303 calls for service in January for code enforcement. And we had one new business in January at 2728 Hart Street, the old church, Sam Colonna Boxing and Fitness. So he's in there now doing some work. He's been doing some deconstruction inside. He has received his permits to do the work also. The Plan Commission held its February meeting last night. The commission gave site plan approval for 949 Calumet Avenue. They will be building a daycare there. That is right on Calumet Avenue next to the Cancer Center. So that'll be happening. And then at the study session last night, we heard about two different projects for townhomes. One that would be right to the north of the daycare that was approved, and that would be, they're looking at 50 townhomes. And there's another development looking at Cedarhurst Drive and overlooking Central Park to do 62 townhomes there. So if both those developments to be able to go forward, they would need a variance, which they'd have to come to the BZA to get a use variance for townhomes, and that would be a recommendation of the town council. And then the town council would have final say for that use variance. Seven Brew, they're opening to the public on Monday, February 24th. They've been open, if you've seen them on Facebook, they've been practicing and delivering drinks all over to businesses, and they actually brought a bunch to the town hall today, and it seemed like everyone enjoyed them. So that was nice. And then I was contacted by the architect for Tsunami Car Wash. She informed me that Tsunami has put this site and several others on hold until they go through value engineering exercise. She said the design of the building and the layout of the site plan will probably change once they go through that engineering exercise, and that once they do the redesign, that they should be coming back to submit. So she didn't give me a time frame. I don't know how long that takes. What they're probably doing is they build so many of these. If you change one thing that saves you $10,000 and you're building 300 stores, it's a big thing. So I think they're just looking at their overall site and the way they do their building. The Dyer Stormwater Board, this next month, we are presenting to the Little Cal River Basin Commission, and we're gonna be requesting some funds to help us do a Sandy Ridge Stormwater Detention Project. And then, not to steal any of Neil's thunder later, but later when we talk about streets, we will be having a resident meeting, as we have been the last couple of years, to let residents know about the reconstruction on their street. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Fire Department.
Yes, for the month of January, we had 167 total calls for service. We logged 1,180 hours of training, continued all of our community risk reduction initiatives, including 47 fire code inspections throughout the town. We did receive that $6,000 grant from Logan's Love, Logan Speaks. That's going directly towards Project Lifesaver Initiative, March 11th, March 12th. We have 5 from our staff that will be going through the train the trainer, and then after that, we will be training our entire department. That project will go live to our residents at the beginning of April. Fire Inspector Chris Vershak was selected by his peers as the 2024 Dyer Firefighter of the Year. Probationary firefighters Ian Mizak and Logan Stein were named 2024 Probationary Firefighters of the Year. Probationary firefighters Chmielewski, Abaro, Cluth, and Warren begin the EMS Academy for their EMT certification. Firefighters Ben Stutler, Logan Stein, and probationary firefighters Chmielewski, Abaro, Cluth, and Warren successfully completed Life Safety Educator 1. Operations Chief Hemrick, who's in the back of the room right now. Scott, say hi. Captain Sartori, Lieutenant Panizak, and firefighter Fraley successfully completed ice water rescue operations and technician. And Mitchell Panizak was promoted to the rank of lieutenant at Station 19. This past Saturday, we had a bowl with firefighter at Stardust to benefit Project Fire Buddies. They were able to, so we appreciate everybody on the dais that showed up. Able to raise $3,000 plus. There's still money coming in for Project Fire Buddies. Obviously, everybody knows we have a fire buddy of our own who's a second grader at Protzman. So that's all for the month of January.
Thank you very much. Next up, Police Department.
For January, 641 incidents, 36 arrests, 26 accidents, 215 citations, 460 warnings, 567 traffic stops. During the 2 snowfalls, we worked with Public Works. We had 157 cars that we moved for snowfall and only cited 55 vehicles. The surveillance trailer that you guys granted us has been delivered. We will be doing, it's been put together and the technicians flew in and set up all the cameras. We are going to start training shortly. Commander Cook is setting that up with all the department heads that'll be involved with that. And we'll probably do we'll probably put it up and let you guys look at it and see how it works. We'll put it out in the parking lot and let you guys look at it. Also, the list was approved for our eligibility list at the meeting on Tuesday from the safety board. We're moving forward with backgrounds on 2 for employment. We'll work with Dave and the town council on that. Our new cars will be delivered on Monday. The 4 cars will be coming in. They were built by Ford and they'll be delivered at the police station Monday after 11 a.m. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you very much. Next up, Neil with our road projects.
Ready.
Had to harass the help over there. Sorry about that.
Good evening. The 2024 CCMG NDOT closeout is proceeding with staff. The 2025-1 CCMG, that award is expected soon. And Schulte reconstruction alignment for John Burge is expected to be completed in 25. The 2024-2 212th place from Harrison and Madison, as Brian had mentioned earlier. The bid award on that is recommended from the opening that we had on February 18th at 10 a.m. Engineer's opinion of cost is $1,576,003.50. And the range of bidders for the 3 bidders that submitted was $1,428,970 to $1,837,811.62. The lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder was Dyer Construction Company in the amount of $1,428,970 for that project. Any questions?
I always get nervous when I see Frank making a beeline.
Yeah, I know. I usually want to put my hand on my wall when Frank's on the move. All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We should probably mention how with CCMG, if you don't have your wheel tax in place, which we already did, you would be able to get matching grants underneath the new laws if they're not done by July, and we've been in place, so it's money we're getting because we have it. Because the future, that's the new law, that's the new law. So everybody complains about the wheel tax, but here we are getting grant money because of it.
Will that affect the law?
If whoever doesn't sign up and pass a wheel tax, I think it's by July.
Well, yeah, that's.
We have-
We already have it in place.
But we
Got
already
it.
do, but if other towns don't, they're not gonna be eligible for CCMG, and maybe that will give us more.
I'll take for a little while.
I can only hope.
Right, next we have a couple of ordinances to get through. The first one, I'll be seeking a motion to accept ordinance 2025-01, evidence room US currency policy.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-01, evidence room US currency policy.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Does anybody have any questions? What happened was Bill's been working on the evidence room and cleaning it up since he's been there. And he did everything by his policies. I didn't know that there was like cash. The town has never brought in the evidence cash over. to the clerk's office. This was the first time. And now with laws, the way they change, we had to have a policy in place. We have policies in place for the asset forfeiture, money to come in, but not from the evidence road.
Yeah.
So within that, we have it comes into the revenues and he brought it by the check, which we've already accepted and I got with State Board of Accounts. So really, this is the first ordinance being drafted because other clerks want to see it. Our ordinance, and Adam did a fine job writing it up, and it has it there where he accepted it to revenue. And Bill already has it in his line item for his budget at 0. So when we do go to do appropriations to use this where he wants to use it, he can explain it, that part of it, that it can be transferred when we do appropriations.
Sure, and what this applies to, it's, as Debbie hinted at, this isn't assets that have been seized. Those are already governed by forfeiture statutes. This is sort of money that's been held on as evidence and there's no court order disposing of it, and it's kind of fallen through the cracks and just floating out there.
We will never
So-
see this size money again. Bill and I came up with a plan.
Never
how
say
we're gonna
never.
Come up with, once it passes through the courts, then we will have it deposited now that we're all set up where it will come over and the same thing will happen. So
That's what I
Bill
was-
could speak on half of the police department.
I was just wondering if this was an exception to the way they like.
Nobody ever brought it over to the clerk's office. We went back as far as we could in Keystone and it never came over.
It takes years to get to where we're at because it goes through court orders and evidence and everything. So our final thing we did, it came out to, forget the exact number, it's just over $10,000. And well, my question was, because we don't have anything in how to use it. And we want to use it for equipment, for the evidence room, like scanners and stuff like that, that's specifically for evidence, so you're not going outside around with everything. So we suggested that we do it orders for it, so that we're able to do it properly. We've always had a policy on how to do it, but the money has to go back to the town, and then you guys have to decide how to spend it, and that's what Adam came up with the ordinance. So it probably won't, it's probably be small amounts from now on because it's in place now. Than it was before.
And when Bill brought over the check, I had to get with the state because we're supposed to deposit a check within 48 hours. When we have something, but we had nothing in place in order for me to accept it. So we had to get everything done for you guys. That's why it's going back to January 21st to be retroactive. So this way we're all in line for everything. And we're the first town right this that I know of, because I've asked everybody for copies and nobody had any.
Yeah, I didn't have any models to follow when I wrote this, so this is
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
my pleasure.
So if I understand, the money will be transferred to the general fund, which.
It goes
will
into
then
the
go back to
reserves.
the
Police department, their general fund,
Yeah,
to be used for the evidence room.
So
he
he
was
can-
saying.
Yeah, it's a
When
specific
we do
line item.
appropriations, because you have to appropriate the money, we receive it as a revenue, but we have to appropriate it because it's not within their budget, this extra 11.
And again, the amount we never did size of it because it's now caught up to.
Yeah.
Long.
Thank you, guys.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Hi.
Jenna,
I,
Barry.
Aye.
Annette,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. I'll be looking for a motion to suspend the rules and pass ordinance 2025-01 on second reading.
Make a motion to suspend the rules and approve ordinance number 2025-01, evidence room US currency policy on second reading.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Hi.
Jenna,
I,
Barry,
Aye.
Annette,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. Next up, I'll be seeking a motion for ordinance 2025-02, establishing vendor fees for Summerfest.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-02, establishing vendor fees for Summerfest.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
This was done at the request of the Parks Department. As you know, the town can, its only mechanism for imposing fees is through ordinance, so this goes through you, and then I've included a provision that other rules governing vendors are left to the discretion of the staff.
We have traditionally in the past, I see food vendors, not food vendors. And, but there's an all vendors section here. Nonprofits, we've traditionally not charged them, are they, would they fall under your section 3 here?
So the reason there is nothing specifying non-profit is on the vendor application that will go out probably as soon as this meeting is done. I put an item for nonprofits and we're charging them $0.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I would recommend then that the amending motion specify all vendors except nonprofits, or Indiana registered nonprofit organizations.
I'll amend my motion to include non-vendors or nonprofits.
I'll amend my second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Aye.
Jenna,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Annette,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Make a motion to suspend the rules and approve ordinance number 2025-02, establishing vendor fees for Summerfest on second reading.
I second that. Is that what the amended?
Well, yeah,
Amended, okay.
it passed
I
with the
second that,
amendments.
Yeah.
Yeah, motion a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Aye.
Jenna,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Annette,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. We have no old business. Under new business, board and commissions, BZA appointment, there was a vacancy on the BZA. To which that was fillable by a council president appointment, just reading into the record that I had appointed Mark Roy, and he had been sworn in earlier this month or the end of last month. Next up, item number 2, I'll be looking for a motion for the 2024-02 CCMG bid award.
If I can interject, if it would be, if the council would permit it, there's water work, or there's work that's from the water utility that's gonna be paid for this contract. And unfortunately, because of the timing of the bid, it doesn't have a time to come before the board until the 4th of March here. So would it be acceptable to the town council to award the bid contingent upon, or at least the water portion of the contract contingent upon approval by the utility board in their next meeting? I had spoken with, and Adam, assuming that this is acceptable, and I had spoken with Neil Simstead from Nice, and he did not feel that would impact anything, but allow us to conduct that approval. Do you see any issue with that, Adam?
Yeah, you can give a contingent approval, because then if the utility board doesn't approve, then it has to come back before the council. If it does, then it's approval.
And this is just
the
the,
condition
yeah,
is met.
and just the water portion of this
Yes.
contract. And again, no one's anticipating that will be the case, but unfortunately, because of the timing of the bid opening relative to the utility board meeting, it didn't permit that to happen prior to the meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024-2 CCMG bid award contingent on the utility board approval.
For the water component
Water.
of the project.
Yes.
And the motion is to award it to Dyer Construction Company.
Awarded to Dyer Construction for a total of $1,428,928 and $1,428,970.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Aye.
Jenna,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Annette,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. Next up, we have the annual mowing contract, right of ways and common areas. It looks like I'll be seeking a motion to approve the contract. It looks like Dean's Pools and Landscaping was the lowest bidder at $81,720.
Correct.
Make a motion to approve, the contract for Dean's Rules and Landscapings in the amount of $81,700.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Aye.
Jenna,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. Speaking of Summerfest, we have a Summerfest contract with Mad Bomber before you.
President, if I can explain option 1 and 2 briefly.
Yes, please.
Option 1 is the traditional, what we're used to, from the same vendor. We asked what, kind of drone infusion could happen this year. And that is option number 2. Option number 2 is, a full drone show and a full fireworks show. With option number 2, the vendor feels that, this would be a pretty impressive display for our town and with the history that we've had. He is willing to, provide sponsorship of a good portion of that drone upgrade, up to $9,000. So it would definitely lower the cost to the town. I think it would be an impact and a way to step up the program from past years. But you have option 1, option 2 in front of you. It's a separate packet, a pretty thick one.
The drone show, would that be like, TV show? Would that be broadcast on the Dyer homepage?
No, so it would be, it's basically 150 individual drones would go up in the sky and do performances during and before. Would spell out different messages and greetings and be part of the music, broadcast. Be kind of choreographed.
So
We're
without
talking
construct-
$23,500 plus another 20,000 for the drone.
And that does not include the sponsorship. So the total would be, option 1's 23,500, option 2 is 34,500.
With the drone show, that won't, with all the construction and stuff, it still will look okay. I mean, I shouldn't say this out loud. I'm thinking of Disney and all that go up in the sky. Would be the same kind of thing?
Absolutely. And I
Okay.
think everything would be towards the sky for the drone, so I don't think any of the construction would come into play with it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how he was gonna present it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it sounds impressive, and actually the vendor itself got pretty excited explaining it, what it could be and the various ones that he's done in the area, so.
How long will the show take as far as the drones? How long?
It's 2 full shows, so I think the normal fireworks are 20-25 minutes, and then you add drones to this, it could be an additional.
It's pretty cool to see the drones.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yep.
So I was just. Something different.
Yep.
I'm not really. It sounds impressive. I just haven't seen it, but without really reading it, I can't really form an opinion. Hey, you have on you, I think. Where's I seen that?
You can go on YouTube and.
I was gonna say, wasn't it on YouTube?
Last year, I went to Highlands, it was really neat.
Highland did it, St. John just did one at Christmas.
Christian is where they set them up in the parking lot.
It's pretty cool how they get it all together.
Yeah.
What's that else? I was trying to figure out how they got it all together and made different things. This is just. So we look at Parliament to accept this or?
Well, it would be a motion to accept either option 1 or option 2.
Yep.
Whatever the pleasure of the board may be. Option 1 is fireworks only at 23,500. Option 2 is fireworks and drone show at 34,500.
Talking about like event centers and all those things being built. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that would be a nice ta-da. You know what I mean? Come to this and see this.
Will bring more people out.
I don't know.
It'll lengthen the show, definitely, give a little more.
Is it after the fireworks?
It's mixed in between, so
Mixed
it'll
in
start
between.
with some drones, then it'll go to the traditional fireworks. He said he's also gonna incorporate some music during it, and then the drones will kick off again.
So weather doesn't, like, if something, I don't
Like
even want to
wind.
say it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
not gonna say it.
Yeah.
I want to bring that up, it's gonna be beautiful that day.
Yeah, it's gonna be beautiful. As you know, a couple years ago, we had to cancel the fireworks because of weather, so that is always a possibility, but there's no more dependency on the drones than the regular fireworks. If you're canceling one, you're canceling both. Um, If you guys are apprehensive about option 1 or 2, let me know and I can see if we can maybe get maybe a production clip sent to you for viewing. The date's reserved. I think we may have time. Justin, I don't know if you have any other correspondence. I know we've been the ones talking to him, so I think he's been reserved for the show for that date for us. We'll just
We're on hold right now until we make a decision.
I'll tell him that we're at least in for option 1. Option 2 is pending. Maybe we could send some clips your way for viewing and see if the March 20th date is good enough to get confirmation on that. Does that sound right? Okay. So would we would just table this one, Adam? Is that what we would
Can
do?
you just send it to us and just, yeah, so we can get a view look of it?
Yep.
Each council.
We'll send a couple.
Well, yeah, there's no motion pending, so there's nothing to table. You
Okay.
can just put this on the next meeting agenda.
Sounds good.
It's pretty cool.
I don't think the 1 month will
They're
make a difference, but I will make the call and make sure he knows we're interested. Thank you.
Next up, we have Lake Central Dollar for Scholars. Last year, I believe in your notes, it mentioned last year we made a $1,500 donation.
Thought it was
It was 2,000. I'd like to continue at the 2,000 level.
I thought it was 2,000.
You could be right. You
Yeah,
could be right. Sorry on my notes.
Correct. I had to talk to a younger brain for that, but yes. I'd like to make a motion to give Dollars for Scholars $2,000 this year.
I'll second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Aye.
Jenna,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Annette,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye. Any and all?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve the funding for the historic preservation for Kurt Garner, not to exceed $5,500.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second, any discussion?
Should we approve for the 5,500 or just the 30% for the first?
Well,
phase?
you can do it a couple ways. You can,
Not to exceed.
you can approve 5,500 according to the schedule proposed in Mr. Garner's estimate. You can just, which I think would probably be the best way to go. You can approve the 5,500 at your discretion or the commission's discretion. Or you can just approve the 30% now and have it come before each time. So I don't know.
I made a motion to not to exceed $5,500.
And I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Aye.
Jenna,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Annette,
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to get an appraisal on the 2012 Hart Street property per the Historical Preservation Commission's.
Would this be a redevelopment project?
Yeah, I don't know.
We should
Yes.
probably save that for
Okay,
RDC
thank
if
you.
this is gonna be. a
I'll take that.
redevelopment.
Any further, any and all? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yes.
I heard a second in there somewhere.
Yes.
All those in favor, voice?
Aye.
Aye.
We're good, Sue? Okay. I'd like to call the February 20th, 2025 Dyer Redevelopment Commission meeting to order. We have a roll call. We've done the Pledge of Allegiance, citizen input. Do we have any citizen input? Come on, Louise.
very much. I'm Louise Talent and I am a representative from the Lake Central School Corporation, and you folks are developing all sorts of great things here in our community of Dyer. We've heard so many good things. We did take it back to the board meeting of how excited the soccer group is that the schools are trying to get something in there for them for the middle school. So that came back, and we're developing and moving on with like phase 2. I just wanted to let you all know that at the high school, and maybe many of you are aware, we have a Gold Star Memorial, War Memorial for individuals that gave their lives, the ultimate, in conflicts back from World War I all the way up through the conflict in Iraq. So I just wanted to show you a picture of it. I wanted to pass this out to you. And it does say, I just want to share the picture. It does say at the bottom for donation, but that's not why I'm coming here. But if you have, I know that's not it. I just want you to know what is going on at the high school for the students in our tri-town area, of course, Dyer. And we do have members that, Mr. Kyleman and that are our Gold Star honorees on the plaque. So I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's the third Gold Star Memorial here in Indiana. The other one is in Fishers and the other one is in Central Park.
Thank you very much.
So, yes, these are, oh, please, thanks, yes, it's just so you're aware of what's going on, and again, it's not to add for the donation, and that's what's on the bottom of the. I was just inside the with my diet. Thank you so much. Anybody else?
Any other citizen input? Hearing none. I'm seeking a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the minutes of the January 16th, 2025 redevelopment commission meeting and claims totaling 280,000. I'm sorry, 280,202. Can't even read. 280,202.81.
So moved.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye. Next on our agenda, we have MKSK Consultants proposal. Need a motion to approve their proposal.
If I can interject here, there's 3 areas that are defined in there. And the area of priority right now is area 1. And that's our John Burge area here, where we're looking at the John Burge extension. The second area is, as you can see in the diagram, is like sometimes we call it the town plaza, but that area that's bordered by Steck and US 30, Gettler and Hart. And then the third one is the area that's to the south of the John Burge extension. So in terms of priority, our highest priority, that's why they were itemized in the event that the council was interested in going with area 1 to start with, which was the $15,000 amount. Of course, you can do all 3 areas for the 34,000 or 35,000. I think the total is on there. We're focusing on the John Burge area simply because that's the area that's under immediate construction. And part of this is making sure that we include any aspects that might be necessary before this gets finalized in terms of the engineering for the project to move forward. So that we capture any of those concepts or ideas so that we don't do any construction that might interfere with any planning in that area.
So we need a motion to approve 50,000.
Well, what you can do is you can approve the entire amount for all 3 areas, or if it's to the count, the council would rather proceed with the first area, then we can proceed with area 1 for John Burge.
This would be for the design.
This is planning. There's designing. That's part of NISA's contract. But before we complete the engineering, want to make sure we take into consideration any kind of alterations that we might want to make into the future for planning in that area. So that we don't, again, in terms of, building positioning or road positioning or anything of this nature that were required, look from the planning side.
Do you have a motion?
Doing just the one.
We're able to do the one and then
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah, then we would come back, we can go through that process and then
So
we
it'll
can,
be area one first, right?
yeah,
That includes stack right there, right?
correct. That includes
Okay, this hash mark part up here at the top of the,
yeah, basically this area right here.
okay, okay.
Yeah, so that would include all that area.
Yeah, I think you need both together.
Yeah, we can start with that. And if again, if the council desires to do so, and then we can decide where we want to go from there.
Adam, can we make one not to exceed the 15,000 for that beginning portion
Well, that's,
For section.
yeah, that's how you would normally make the motion is,
for the
because
downtown
this is an
district area
estimated
one?
cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not to exceed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Not to exceed 15,000 for
Yeah.
area one.
I'll
Have
make
a
a,
motion.
yeah, I'll make a motion, for MKSK for the next step to not exceed $15,000 for area one. For
Is
the
there a
downtown
second?
district.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 And I also, if I can make mention with MKSK, they also work as a consultant with the RDA. So we've worked with them before with some of the TDD and TOD planning. And what Dave and I had met with AJ Bittner from the RDA, he's their economic development director, regarding the Calumet Avenue corridor and really all the different corridors in town. And they indicated that they can, under the RDA, using MKSK as a consultant, they can provide a conceptual plan, at least a broad plan for the Sheffield Avenue corridor from 213th to Main Street. And then if we wanted to drill into that, then we can engage in additional consulting services, but that the RDA would actually do that under their contract. So we'll be looking to do with that in the next, 30 to 60 days, having them develop that. And again, that would be something the RDA would be paying for. So since we got TDD in the southern part of that corridor and the northern part of it is a kind of a compromise, since it's not all in the TDD, they would provide that service to us.
Did you need a motion?
No, I don't. I'm just letting you know that that'll be coming your way,
Okay.
and that component will not cost the town anything because the RDA will be doing it. Yes, so
So if all three sites were grouped together, the total amount would have been 35.
correct. Yeah,
For the downtown district.
yeah, for all those different areas.
Where Sheffield.
So-
Yeah, in Sheffield, Dam just mentioned that the same consultant is a consultant with the RDA, and we've worked with them before with the transport, development district as well. What's that? Yes, and they're going to provide the other work at no charge through the RDA for the Sheffield Avenue corridor. So just something else to look forward to.
Still, there's, isn't owned by the town, correct? There's still that's the area where the lots are kind of
There's like 32 little.
32 different owners of
Yeah.
that area.
Yeah. So,
So I'm just kind of wondering what the time frame would be for a project like this, where if we were to have gone and approved all three of them, what is the time frame?
you're probably looking at, 60 to 90 days with all three of them, but it could be, shorter. I'm speaking on, I guess, their behalf in terms of their planning process, but we would expect to engage the John Bird portion right away. So that we can get that information in there so that we can proceed forward with John Birch or complete that, as Neil as well. Neil's not here at the moment, was mentioning that was wrapping up. So we want to get that before the council as soon as we can. So for consideration and possible action.
Oh, yeah. Pedestrian safety, for sure, that section one would be very, very helpful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any other discussion? Roll call.
What are we? This
I
is
thought we
just-
already.
I think we did the roll.
Yeah, we already did that.
Fair vote.
Yeah, we're not to exceed.
Okay, I think we were having discussion about the other things too, so.
Oh, yeah, no, we were talking about 213th to Maine, but we're not. We're just
Yeah,
talking about.
the next thing we're talking about is a sidewalk proposal on US 30 from Calumet Avenue to Great Lakes Drive.
Yes.
I need a motion for approval.
That's it, and that's it, yes, we can just go.
You know, and I guess I was confused because I kept thinking that it was up from Rockwell to the south, and it wasn't. It was the other way around, but Dave was kind enough to explain it to me, you know, that it's like the circle, and I didn't realize that there was a sidewalk actually next to the speedway, but when I looked at it, it's covered with snow, so that's why there's not, you couldn't see it.
So in your package, you have a diagram there that's shaded in yellow where the sidewalk would be placed. Our estimate at the last meeting, when you guys instructed us to go out, was approximately, and that was just Public Works approximating linear feet would have been 115. So Public Works went out for 2 quotes. The first one came in as of today at 112. So we know the project won't exceed 112. We're waiting for the second one to come in any day now to complete that project. So that would complete everything on 30 from Great Lakes over to Calumet, and from Calumet over to the Jewel entrance. There'd be one lot that would not be completed. That's right next to Speedway, because that is the development that's come to the Planning Commission to put a business in there would be required to put that section in.
Would it be all put in at the same time, though? That would they?
Ours
just-
would go probably first, and they would put theirs in under construction, which is about a month later, but it
Oh,
would,
okay.
it would be there. Yeah, it would be relatively quickly.
I only say that because I've heard Brian talk about how slow some businesses are, and I thought we don't
Yeah.
want it to go.
Yeah.
Stop.
Possible.
Instead, we could maybe put it in and then say, you're paying for it. We're gonna add that to your bill.
And that's the road that's already there. I mean, there's a road that started and it's just
But
gonna,
he's talking about this.
oh, I see,
This is blank until someone comes there and
right.
they have to put it in, but I just don't want them to be.
Yeah, I would say if you
Yeah.
want, if you do it not to exceed 112 at this point, we're still trying to get a lower price, but. And that would increase our walkability there.
We put it in and then tell them they just have to pay.
You have a
You know,
motion?
figure
I'll
out
make a
how easy.
motion to approve the sidewalk proposal from Calumet Avenue to Great Lakes Drive on Route 30, not to exceed $112,000.
Yes.
Second,
The motion, the second, any discussion?
I have a little bit of discussion. Does that put in those, the ADA compliant? Jeff, is the ADA compliant on each one of those openings? Okay, thank you so much. That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
Yeah, and again,
For 112,875.
Oh, I'm sorry, 112,875.
You can amend the motion in the second.
Okay.
A motion to approve it at not to exceed $112,875.
correct.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Hi.
Aye.
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 Aye. Next, we have Barnes and Thornburg, Special Counsel for Economic Development. I think Frank is going to talk about this, right?
It should be council, SEL.
Yeah, I mean, I can address this. This is basically, and I don't know, Dave, if you want to take this one or if you.
Sure. After discussion with AJ at the RDA, things may move quickly on proposed development in our area that is TIF tagged on Calumet Avenue. We do not have a proposal. We do not have a land contract. We don't have anything in our hand right now, but something could be being received any week now. And they suggested that we have council lined up, ready to handle the TIF portion of this and possible economic incentives that may be requested so that there's no delay. Barnes and Thornburg has been spoken to, both Frank and I on the phone, that been recommended highly by the developers and also RDA, and have done this over and over. So we recommend that you retain them and get them in the ready so that if something's received, they can jump on this and get you guys an analysis and a recommendation and be our in our corner. So.
And what is the total in that?
It's a retainer, well, not a retainer, but it's a per hour rate. So I think the motion would be at this point to probably retain them, Adam.
Is that their rate?
Hourly rate.
at the hourly rate.
What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Adam had something for any and all.
I will add that when you're talking the proposed development, maybe up towards $240 million and $16 million incentives are around that. I know trust me, I paused for a while on the hourly rate, but what you are getting with the firm is you're getting the institutional knowledge and it won't take as long as someone that has not been frequently working these projects. So
He
and
does,
we regulate this, we regulate every step. It's not like it's
Yeah.
gonna be we'll get back to you in 6 months and here's a bill. It's gonna be our approval each step of the way.
That's it, no more.
Right, is there a not to exceed?
I don't know that we would put that on. Adam, how do you think we should word this to retain them and each hour billed would be approved by our?
well, I mean, if he does the work, you have to pay him for it, at the agreed rate, so. I would probably limit him by hours spent, you know, or. Did he give you an estimate of
Yeah,
how
that's what
many
I was
hours
thinking.
this would take?
Well, and unfortunately, I don't know that we know what will be needed
How many
before
weeks?
it's presented to us.
Yeah, we don't
so-
know
Wait,
when.
how much, what's the scope of the work that he's gotta do? So we don't know
Exactly,
that
we
yet.
won't know
Yeah,
that.
and there's nothing
So-
being engaged at this time. It's only in the event that something should precipitate between now and the next meeting. This would allow us to act on that, and I'm sure we would update the council, and we would obviously restrict the number of hours, obviously accordingly. But
This is to get us through to the next meeting in case there was some
Yeah.
eminent work that needs to be done. I mean, I'm comfortable if you want to put a cap on it, of 30 hours worked at this point, because we'd come back to you in 30
Can we put
days.
The option that it's approved by the town manager,
That's absolutely perfect.
okay?
Yeah, I think I like that, because you'll keep us informed.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Dave are gonna pull the reins when they start going.
You know,
off,
and
you know.
I can say if a client came to me and said, we're limiting the amount of hours you can spend, I might say, I can't commit to that. It's
Yeah,
I
not,
was gonna say, yeah.
it's not professional.
we may not need anything between now and the next meeting.
We're looking for a motion to retain Barnes and Thornburg at the hourly rate, subsequently approved by the town manager.
Well, no, as it would approve you would approve the fee agreement proposed by Barnes and Thornburg.
Okay,
With work as approved by the town
Yeah.
manager.
thank you.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Nope.
Roll call, please.
Hi.
I,
Hi. Do we need to do the Central Park proposal?
Yes, I would say if we could, number 4 will be pushed till sometime probably later the summer or the fall for the
Okay.
project. If you do want to take action on phase 1 of Central Park, this will be the time to take some action on that one.
Okay, so we're seeking a motion for $814,483.
That's just the engineer. You're basically seeking a motion for Robinson to go forth and put out the bids. I believe you said March 7th.
Okay,
Correct.
And then they would come back to us at the March 20th meeting with their results.
okay, thank you.
Bob, you're also going to be adding that chain or the option of those 2 different kinds of piping?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So you're making a motion to approve.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
I made
Have a
that motion
second?
to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Sue, do you have what the motion is clear?
Is there a dollar amount on there? Or is it just the motion?
No.
To authorize Robinson
Authorize.
Engineering to go out for bid on phase 1 of
Yes.
Central Park parking.
Yes.
Okay,
Aye.
I,
Aye.
aye. Next, we have approval for do we have the other one? J&M, we have to approve them or not?
No.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion, since I'm in the right place now, to get an appraisal on the 2012 Hart Street. Per the Dyer Historical Preservation Commission's, for their, agreement,
Well, their fee.
their opinion.
I'll second that motion.
we had already had an appraisal.
No. Yeah,
Yeah, no, there was an issue of whether because the appraisals cost a lot of money. The issue was whether this commission even wanted to spend the money on appraisal or not. So they asked the Historic Preservation Commission their thoughts on it.
Their recommendation,
That's
and
my
their recommendation is
they were
what,
supportive of it.
what Mark came up and talked about.
And all this is just an appraisal. It's not committing to us
No, it's just an
actually
appraisal.
doing.
Just
'Cause
the
there's-
appraisal.
Yeah,
How much is the appraisal? Well, before I answer, my question is, what's the plan for, what's the, if we had it tomorrow, what's the dream for it? Why are we,
Then then we would have to discuss if we want to go ahead with it, if we want to proceed with it.
Well, kind of like anything else that we're dreaming
Yeah.
about, the building itself would then become part of Dyer, like our event center or anything else we're doing. And all the details of what it would be. We had talked about it being a heritage centers where it would showcase all different kinds of Dyer, not just history. It's not to move the history over there. The history is, in this building here, but it's not just to move everything there. It's to showcase different parts of Dyer and the people and what they do, like their sports and history and arts and everything.
okay, so when we went through it, it was originally, I thought, to move the Historic Society over there. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah, that was never the case. I think people might
That
have
was-
said that.
I
but-
thought it was, my impression was to
Because
move
last-
everything over.
No, last month, that's why I explained what a heritage center was, and I said the definition of a heritage center, because that's not the intent of that.
What can we do there that we can't do here?
Yeah, extra light.
First of all, it's in an historical district, it's in a TIF district. And on top of that, it's a building that we are reusing from the past. And I think Mark really did a great job the other night. This is why I encourage everybody come to the historical preservation meeting, because we all discuss these kinds of things and the issues that go along with it. But the idea is maybe to rotate and change. If we have some exhibits that will remain there permanently, but then the other ones are going to be rotating and depending upon the focus that we have, whether it's an art exhibit or whether it's some kind of speaker or whatever. So there'll be, part of it is going to be permanent. Is that correct, Mark?
I'm sorry.
The building itself, if we have a permanent, if we have a permanent display, but then there'll be other things rotating besides that.
Well, Dyer- oh, go.
The only, if I may, the only thing that I got from the last meeting was Heritage Center.
Yes, yes.
It does not appear that we could move our museum into that building efficiently, adequately. It's not large enough. But the idea of a heritage center, may be attractive to the board.
Oh, yeah, well, it's a destination place. Dyer is more than just Central Park. While we like it and there are many amenities, there's gonna be a lot of things there. But this is another focal point because it's already. Really, we probably wouldn't even have looked at this if it wasn't for sale and it's in the historic district, and it's in a TIF district. And that's why we brought it before them and said, well, could you use it? Would you use it? And they said yes. And we've looked at other heritage centers to see how they were used. And like Mary said, repurposing something we already have is very, very, it's economical. Right now, it's very well taken care of building.
Yes.
What it would be later, I don't know. But then it, like I said, Jenna had talked about taking something off the tax rolls, putting it on the tax rolls. But now we know that the boxing center, you know what I mean? That church is going on the tax rolls. If this came off the tax rolls, it's apples and oranges. You're kind of trading.
Not really, because this isn't, I just want to point out to the council, this is in a TIF district,
Right.
which makes a little bit of a difference when you're taking property off the tax rolls, because the part of the TIF is funded by the
Yes.
presumed increase in property taxes within that district. And when you sell to when a nonprofit purchases, or when you acquire it and it becomes tax-free, that revenue is no longer available to fund the original TIF. Well, it's in the TIF,
It's in the
but it's not producing taxes
Right.
towards that.
But I think when we're looking at the big picture and how economic development and things are changing all along that corridor as well as Calumet, I think we want to look at the big picture and give all of Dyer a facelift. And then that's what we're trying to do. And this is along that corridor. It's where people enter in. I'm really excited just seeing that little cafe there. I've seen a lot of little people, they park in that parking lot across the street there that Dyer has, and they go in over there. We want to see this just pick up and liven up. And I think that's a great way right off of Lincoln Highway to do this. It makes it accessible to people and say, hey, you know, this is, we're highlighting our heritage. We're highlighting what Dyer is all about. And because it's so close to Lincoln Highway, and because once again, it's already designated, you know, historical. If those weren't all there, I don't see us using it, but we don't have spaces that are large enough that are historical that we would even say that
Yes,
about in the TIF district. It's just an opportunity that I think we shouldn't miss. But I don't think it's everything. I think it's going to unfold. We've talked about these processes, but it also makes it extremely, you know, we can get grant monies there because of what it is.
Yes.
I
And I
think it's a
think
great
too-
opportunity.
Mike, and maybe you want to address this too, is that we're gaining momentum with every single meeting. There are more and more people showing up.
There is, we need more
Why-
volunteers for sure, you know, but I think what we're talking about this building, you know, is that you have an historical building. Speaking of the past for all the citizens, and I think what that means is that building is more or less a conduit of the past
Yes.
in itself, and all the objects that it will hold, you know, not just
Right.
historical objects, like I said, heritage of the art. You can have art displays of the people. People who are talented can show their work in there. Other people can see it, and it's an historical building. I mean, you know.
Is there any openness to sort of a joint like with the Parks Department, like a project where it's sort of like the Plum
Oh,
Creek Center?
yeah.
You know, like, cause I could see when we visit, it just was very small, you know? And so I could see it as, it's just a big open space, very similar to the Plum Creek Center. So that, you know, I understand what you're saying about it being a conduit and a place for the community to share, you know,
Well,
art
because
and
it's
all those things.
historical.
And
There-
have the history, but, and also, you know,
Yeah,
just
I mean-
on a practical day-to-day level, I know that the Plum Creek Center is being used. I don't know, Justin, if you have any thoughts about how
No, this is
full
way
the
different.
schedule
This whole
is and whether
use is
it would
different.
be able to be used
I-
for birthday parties and
I haven't,
baby
No, not
showers.
this part. Mike, you want to speak
You know, I
because
just want to say that, you know, when I was first moved here in 1975, that whole area there along that street, I remember walking my kids to the library, if you guys remember where the library was at one time. And we'd stop by those old buildings, and they were in disrepair. They didn't work, and my kids were always afraid of walking past them because they thought they were haunted. You know,
Yes.
because they were so old, and then the buildings were old, the grounds were, you know, they were in disrepair. And I would stop and I tell my kids, I said, you know, what if this building could speak? What if they could tell you what went on before now, you know, the history that's seen? And I can't think of no better place than have that building, you know, tell us, you know, you can put objects of art, objects of inheritance, the heritage of the whole community in that building, and it's again speaking of its history.
Yes.
I think maybe it's a romantic way of looking at things. But I think it's a beautiful building. And instead of tearing it down, we should reuse it somehow. I don't know how, but I think the best way we can use it is being a mouthpiece for history.
Yes.
For the culture of the city. I mean, you know.
Can I clarify too, no one can tear it down because it's in our
Right,
historic
right,
preservation district. It has to go before Mark's commission before it can, any permit to tear an inch off of it
Okay.
can be approved.
Well, whatever the heritage could,
Yeah.
I mean, to have it as you know, again, showing part of Dyer's history. Having a historic building be a part of that.
Right.
I think it's,
I understand. I was just wondering if it could be used for birthday parties as well. Would this be available?
Well, they want
I
to
don't-
put permanent displays up. They have to stay there all the time, and then other things would rotate in
exactly.
from there.
I don't think that would be the intent of a historical purchase like that.
No.
You
So
know,
aside from art displays, I haven't heard of what we would use it for. I mean, because again, what are we doing there that we can't do here? in
Because
town
we would
hall?
be telling a story, just
And
like,
there is, and I would agree, there is some romanticized version of this where it's an old building, it's an old church, but it's a salon with vinyl siding. So I mean, if we're going to make it a historic building,
Currently.
well, currently, I agree, and that's a perfect segue into whatever this appraisal comes in at, the sale price is 500, whatever the appraisal comes at, we're gonna have to do something to it to have a historic feel to it, because frankly, it's a
Absolutely.
salon that you know, it's a nail salon. You know,
that's the job of them.
sometimes we call this the Union Church as a way to just make it sound nice, but we should be saying, are we gonna spend $500,000 to buy a salon, gut it, make it look like a church, and then throw art in it that we already have down here? If we're gonna have speakers, we have a perfect place for speakers here. We already have the Historic Society here. As we move forward with, you know, we were talking about some of the stuff in Central Park. As we move forward with that, half of this building here will be vacated with park stuff. So we have even more room that we've already paid for. We're already insuring. We already have gas and electric too. We already have the building staffed. And so I realize that my conversation is step 42, and we're at step 2 to say, how much does this thing cost? But that's gonna cost us money to figure that out. And so if I have to have this conversation now, and then again in 2 months when we get this, to say, are we spending $500,000, $1 million? What are we spending to have an old salon that we put art up in? I don't know how we can say that's
it's not
fiscally
just for
responsible.
art. They're gonna be
But
some
what is it?
permanent displays that will be in there all the time. for
Is
people
that
to
not
come.
art? I mean,
Well, heritage
what's a
centers-
permanent
heritage
display?
Centers do hold a lot of things, Bob. I don't know how many
Okay.
heritage centers you participate in.
Absolutely none.
That's what
Well,
I'm
that
just
would be a
saying.
good start.
I'm just saying, you know, I think we're looking at it from different perspective and different eyes, and I hear
Yeah.
what you're saying as far as trying to get a grasp on how this is going to be functional.
Right.
But I think it's also going to take time to unfold and use. It's not like an event center where you're going, this can be for weddings, you know, we're gonna have weddings over here, you know, and that is a good place and it's functional. I think it would be very good there. But this is a whole different thing on a different side of town.
Right, and there was a list that came through originally from one of the Historic Preservation Commission members of all the things that could be done there. And now one of them was location specific. I just, again, I'll bring this up again if we decide to move forward with this, I'll bring this up again where I will just question the sanity of spending
Well, I think we're talking
500,000 on a
about
church.
for residents.
Yes.
The other day, I asked for some numbers. I was gonna get my roof done. I didn't realize that it was the gentleman who started, the son of the gentleman who started the Dyer Kickers. And he went on for 20 minutes going, why are you tearing down all these historic buildings? Why aren't we using them for something else? And I said, actually, we're kind of trying to work on that. And he went off on everything, talking about his whole family and how everybody doesn't like to see everything change. And kind of like, you know, we were talking about, you'd like to have this conduit to say, hey, we're not doing this to everything. See here, this is a little gem that we have over here. We're going to highlight, you know, the Native Americans that came through here. We're going to highlight, once again, Mary said,
Dyer Kickers.
sure, any of the sports that
Yeah.
came through here. A heritage center depicts the
trains.
people and how it happened, right? The trains.
Right. We have so much.
You know, and you can do a lot of other things that create community, that create cohesiveness, that takes that part that maybe you aren't interested in, but there are so many other people who are interested in it, and let them participate there. Other heritage centers I've gone to have book clubs that meet there that talk about history, or they have, because they don't have a library in their town. This is kind of their place to gather. They have knitting groups that go and meet in there. They celebrate different holidays that the well, in this particular town is more German people, but you know what I mean? They talk about traditions of the town. I'm not saying that it's just an opportunity because it's a historic building in a historic, it's a historically designated area and it could be used for this purpose, but it would unfold. It's not something where you can rubber stamp it like other things. But I believe that it's worth it and it's for a lot of the residents and maybe it's not your thing, but maybe, I'm not saying, we all get older, but.
And, okay, if all this with the heritage building.
Sure.
Who's gonna staff it? Who's gonna be there? Who's going
Well,
to?
most of the heritage centers, Annette,
Yeah,
aren't staffed
yeah.
all the week. They start
Okay,
out like
then,
one day a week for a few hours to have this open, to get it started. It's progressive. It's not something that's just cookie cutter. It's progressive.
Just a lot of money to, okay, and then
Well, I
the
don't know,
inside of it,
we've just been
the
talking
inside,
about
I went in and
$10 million.
and did a. Look through, but it is a very small place, very narrow, the bottom, very small. A lot of work would have to be done in that place to get it to what you possibly wanted. And what I'm concerned about is all this money that's put into it. And I'm all for heritage and historical, but it's just like, it's just gonna keep, who's gonna staff it? Who's gonna be there? Who's gonna ensure? There's a list of things that, is this really what we wanna do to,
Well, I think we're looking at
maintenance?
our residents as a whole, not just everybody over in Central Park. We're
You know
looking
what-
at people all through the town.
One of the things that the speaker that I listened to last week really made a good point, and he said, even if you don't understand public art or you don't understand what it is, please be aware of the fact that other people do appreciate it. When the people from the trains are coming in to the meetings and get really excited about it, the Dyer Kickers, we have all kinds of sports in this town, as we well know, softball and a lot of other things, that we would have opportunities for them to explain the heritage of that particular sport or that particular part of railroads. And even if you don't understand it, at least be aware that other people do appreciate it and be happy that they are enjoying it.
Are there any businesses outside financiers or, sponsors? At a meeting, we talked about, that for the events that are the amphitheater, like Franciscan Amphitheater, maybe something. Maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Well, and once again, we're just asking for this
Looking
first
for-
step.
Always
for the
gonna
first
have
step to
people
get the appraisal.
appraisal.
But
Yeah.
Jenna, to your question, because it's in that historic district, it makes it very eligible for a lot of different grants for different purposes. So you could write different grants for different things. And when I say you could write grants, I mean, I'm not gonna go out
It's
on
an
a limb here too
opportunity.
far, but that's where I want to step in, and I'm gonna get someone else who's gonna help me with this, to get different ideas to do these things. I've seen different heritage centers bloom. It does take a while to unfold, but I believe, once again, it's an opportunity that's presented itself. It's not like we said, oh my gosh, we're gonna hunt this down. It's just here right now, and it's a great opportunity. Thanks for thinking about it.
We have a motion and a second. We've had discussions. Roll call, please.
Aye.
I'm still questioning about it. I'm for, okay, get an appraisal, but I'm not,
Well, that's what
there's
we're
still
doing right now.
questions.
Yeah,
We're just getting-
just.
it's
to
just
clarify
for the
the-
Then I'm okay, with the appraisal.
No,
I'm okay for the appraisal.
Aye. Thank you. I thank everybody, and I think that we have two very hard workers here. We have two people that are really joining in because they even came to the meeting the other night, and I
How
think
much is the appraisal anyways? I'm sorry.
come to the meetings.
How much
It's
is
a
the
commercial appraisal. You need two of them and it's probably gonna be about 2,000 and 2,500 a piece, yeah. But myself and Brian talked over each other. So.
And that is to whatever you want knocked down and things of that sort, what the
This is
appraisal, the
just
work.
to, no, this is
This
just
is
to buy the
appraisal,
property.
Just to buy the
Structural.
property.
And
With
it's
all
a-
the equipment inside as well.
This is
We
just
don't
an
know if
appraisal
you
of
can
the
get an
actual
appraisal.
building. I don't think this would
It
be,
would include the fixtures, which is anything you can't physically pick up and take out that you consider part of the property for valuation purposes.
The only thing I would add is, when you do look at the building, just remember parking, because that big parking lot.
Yeah,
Eric
that's
owns
not theirs.
that. The church doesn't own that.
Right.
And behind that, where the old Jewel is, Miller Grover owns that, and he shares parking lot with no one. In Generis, until that little coffee shop that opened, they shared with no one and they will share with no one.
Yeah, that was brought up on the.
Across the
Yep,
street
right
is
across
our
the street.
parking,
We own it.
correct?
In the CVS lot.
Yes.
Yeah, in the CVS.
Yeah, that's
lot, but
got
I'm
quite a
talking
bit of
the big
parking.
lot that's next to
Oh,
it.
no.
Looks like it
Yeah.
belongs
Yeah,
to
we're
the
aware
church.
of that.
We're aware of
that.
that, yeah. Do we have any other further approvals that we need to do?
Looks like everything's
We're
checked.
good?
Barry, we have, in the beginning, you rolled over the agenda with not doing a roll call. Roll call has always been called on the RDC. If this is something you're gonna change, years ago, when all the boards and commissions were formed, it was always said to call roll call. This is the first time that it wasn't called, and this is a separate board from the council. So it should be called.
We can do that.
If I'm wrong, they've
Sure.
always done roll call, correct?
Yes, we can do that. Yeah.
She just
Just
needs
so
to-
the record's clear, it's better to do it that way.
Yeah. And I texted, but I just know that years ago when they formed all these things, they put that into it.
Sue, could you do a roll call?
Here.
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 Here. Here. Thank you. We've got
Well,
that.
thank you,
taken
because
care
it's
of.
just better to keep format like we expect of all of our
Thank
other
you.
boards and commissions.
Any and all? Hearing none, motion for adjournment? I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye.
All right, I went it myself.